Hello Dragon Ball Super family. I'm Legends Kerrick and today I'm bringing you the rebooted Mecha Frieza deck I piloted this weekend at the TAC Regional to a 19 out of 161 finish. My matchups this weekend were Cell Surge Hand Control, Reboot Mass Saiyan Bardock, King Vegeta FTK, King Cold, Xenosin Shenron, Something Blue. My sincerest apologies, but I can't recall it. And then finally Hachiak, with my two losses being doled out to King Vegeta and Hachiak. I decided to bring Mecha Frieza this weekend because I found it had a fair matchup into King Vegeta, a positive matchup in hand control, and a positive matchup into Blue Baby. These are the three decks I consider the gatekeepers of this format. Ultimately, I misplayed my way into a loss versus King Vegeta and was grossly unprepared for Hachiak, and had no lines at all to beat that deck in my deck, which I will solve in future iterations of the deck. But let's launch right into this post-format Mecha Frieza deck list. So this is the rebooted Mecha Frieza leader. He has the first permanent. You can only on the front side. His first permanent is you can only activate extra cards from your hand once per turn. His second permanent is when you would activate a mono yellow extra card from your hand, you may add one card from your life to your hand, and if you choose to do so, you can reduce the cost of that extra card by one yellow cost. Meaning, if it's cost only one yellow, you can actually activate it for free. He maintains a standard auto where when this card attacks, draw one card, and he has a basic awakening condition at 4 life or less. You may draw one card, switch up to one of your mana to active mode, and flip this card over. On the backside, his permanents now upgrade into when activating a mono yellow extra card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your hand. You may add one card from your life to your hand, and if you do, you can reduce that card that you're activating by 2 yellow pips. So you can activate 2 drop yellow extra cards for free now. He continues to retain the auto when this card attacks, draw a card, and now he gains the auto once per turn. When you activate a mono yellow extra card from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. This triggers on the first extra card you use that turn. So this can be burnt away and something you can use against mecha players in the future. Going into the deck list, since we lost Unite Assemble into the deck list, now one of our basic self-awakeners is the Power of the Super Saiyan. Power of the Super Saiyan is a counterattack, one energy yellow card, negate the attack. More importantly, it has this permanent if you have one or more mono yellow energy in active mode, you can activate this card's activate battle without paying any energy cost. Its activate battle is how we use this card to self-awaken. Its active battle is if your leader card is a mono yellow, you can draw one card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards or units of cards and switch to rest mode, and then you can't activate the activate battle on this card for the rest of the turn, which is kind of cool. So this card functions as our only extra card negate in the deck. I chose not to play Nimbus, despite the fact that King Vegeta FDK is now a deck in the meta, but rather I just rely on this if I actually have to use a hard negate from an extra card side. Otherwise, usually using the activate battle through your leader's front side effect, you'll take a life for the activate battle, then draw a card and rest something on your opponent's side of the field, helping you self-awaken while maintaining a draw 2 advantage. Of course, that's slightly weaker than the previous draw 3 advantage from Unite Assemble. However, this doesn't cost you mana to use it, so it's not too bad. And then moving on to our self-awaken package, we have Giant Ball. Giant Ball is a 1 mana yellow extra card. Its counterplay: when the battle card is played, you may choose that card, choose it, and switch it to rest mode, then draw a card. So of course, versus King Vegeta, this is extraordinarily useful versus the 90k crit Vegeta. You can play it on window 2 of the crit Vegeta, and you can Giant Ball it so that you can take a life, draw from your life, and draw an extra card and avoid the crit for that turn. You can also just choose to leave your yellow energy up and spend the one energy on it so you can draw a card. But awakening this deck is absolutely imperative. So the best way I've found to play against King Vegeta is to leave your yellow energy up on turn 1, have Giant Ball in hand, mulligan for this of course, and then on their first attack, or on your first attack, combo away their kid so their pressure is reduced already, the young invader they give you, and then on their first crit attack that threatens you, on their 1 or 2 energy, you can Giant Ball it down and save yourself a bunch of life. Moving forward, our next most important, possibly our most important self-awakening tool in most of our matchups is Planet Vegeta. Planet Vegeta is a field card that allows you, when you, at the end of the turn, you can switch all your Great Apes in your battle area to active mode. That sometimes is relevant because you do play a few Great Apes, but what more importantly has this auto: when you play this card, or place in your battle area. Choose up to one Saiyan with an energy cost of 4 or less from your deck and add it to your hand. And then, of course, you shuffle your deck. So this lets us tutor, like toolbox our deck. We can find an 8 for pressure. We can find an Overrealm. We can find some side deck tools. Obviously, this was his best ones. We had to include those side deck tools into our main deck. But it lets us find some ways to beat matchups that would otherwise be negative. And in many ways, this is also like a draw too, because you're going to draw from your life and then you're going to draw the exact card you're going to find from Planet Vegeta. Super awesome. And we play such a large amount of extra cards because we do want to charge extra cards either turn 1 or 2 so that we can make one of our battle card negates live as soon as possible. Continuing on with our extra card package, we play a set of Vegeta's Final Flash. This is a card I considered bumping up to 4, simply so I could charge it early game without worrying about it. Mid to late game, when you're going for your push, like turn 3 or 4, this is the strongest combo card you have in your deck. That has not changed with the ban list or to Frieza. When you're on 4 life and you're pushing, you can just slam 3 of these, taking your life for 15k power each, making your attack incredibly threatening. Um, it rarely has the effect where it blanks out a card nowadays. I mean, that threat is always on your opponent's mind, so it's cool to have that threat up. They can't really go in on a double strike with a battle card for that reason, or a triple, or God forbid, turn 5 a Cell Xeno quad strike or something like that. So that's really cool too. There's a lot of creative things you can do with this card versus King Cold. If they choose to attack with their 5-drop Frieza before they rip a card from your hand, you can Final Flash to get out of the attack on your front or on your Awakened side rather, and then blank that Frieza so it can't stand back up and clear a battle card. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this card. Not to mention, if you're on your backside, and you choose to target a barrier card with this Vegeta's Final Flash, you can blank the card. You can resolve Vegeta's Final Flash first on that barrier card, since it does ignore barrier, negating all skills of the battle card. You would blank that card, removing its barrier, and then your leader's auto would trigger after tapping that card, and now you can remove it if you deem it's necessary. Of course, one of our secret rares in the deck, Cold Bloodlust counterplay if your leader is Frieza's army. The battle card being played comes in without skills for the duration of the turn. And also, for some people that don't know, that also means your opponent can't add Double Strike to that card later during the turn through like Double Strike Kai or Champa. So it's an important thing to keep in mind when you use Cold Bloodlust. And then to round out our extra cards, we play one copy of Final Spirit Cannon. Final Spirit Cannon has 2 effects. One of them I've never even read. You can apparently you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode with an energy cost of 4 or less and KO it. That rarely ever is used for this card. But what you usually use it for is on your Awakened side, you can pay 0 mana to choose one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. So most of the time, you're going to switch one of their energy to rest mode, so you can combo it with your other secret rare Bergamo Ferocious Roar. Bergamo is when one of your opponent's cards is switched to rest mode. You can pay a yellow and a colorless to play this card. And then when this card is played, it has an auto where you can choose 2 of your opponent's energy and or battle cards ignoring barrier and switch them to rest mode. So between Final Spirit Cannon and Bergamo, you can still tap down 3 of your opponent's energy when you're ready to kill them, forcing them to rely on spark and negates or just raw combo power, which most of the time you can just out combo your opponent. We don't play the U9 package anymore, but we still do play 2 copies of Basil Fatal Rampage. Basil is just one of those great generic yellow battle cards, being a 1 mana cantrip or a draw card. And then if your opponent happens to have 5 cards in tap or in rest mode, to include field cards, leader cards, energy cards, and battle cards, then you can pump them up until the end of your opponent's next turn to become a 15k and gain dual attack, allowing him to clear a lot of problematic battle cards, especially versus King Vegeta FTK. If you can stall out their first turn, then you slam Basil on turn 2, that leaves you 1 mana up for defense, and you can use Basil to clear out a bunch of battle cards in tandem with your leader, making your opponent have to commit to the field again, like recommit to the field through their energy to try to kill you again. And therefore you can stabilize. Also, a great finisher. As a 19k dual attack, you can attach Sensu Beans to make him a 24k and up per Sensu Bean, making so he adds a lot of pressure on his own. Moving on from Basil, we have 3 copies of Great Ape Bardock, Raider's Warcry. This is the first of the Saiyans that I'll be showing in the deck list that you can tutor out with Planet Vegeta. Great Ape Bardock, for those who aren't caught up with this card yet, super old card, 2 cost combo for 10k, which is great because you can combo out most attacks. Then at the end of the combo step, this card plays itself if your leader is mono yellow, or if your leader card is yellow, sorry. And then its auto is when this card is played, you can draw 1 card, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle card and switch it to rest mode. Excellent card on defense, excellent card on offense. Just a 10k combo is a lot to begin with. Then becoming a double strike pressure afterwards is way too powerful. We don't play 4 because when we were running 4, we found ourselves charging this card a lot. Ultimately, you do want to mulligan him back unless you're playing against like a super slow matchup like Self Surge Hand Control or like Invoker or Baby or something where you just need the early game pressure. Then you'll keep it or use Planet to find it early. And then one of our ways to beat early aggro decks are the Mecha Frieza Robotic Riposte. This is one of the reasons why you want to charge extra cards in your turn 1 or 2 to make sure you have this card live. Uh, it is a 3-drop counter attack. Negate this card. Negate the attack, then play this card. However, it has a permanent if your leader card is yellow and your opponent has 2 or more energy. And additionally, you can reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each extra card in your energy and drop area. So if you charge 2 yellow cards, it's going to be live for or 2 yellow extra cards, it's going to be live for the rest of the game at 1 energy. It has an auto. When this card is played from your hand, each time your opponent would attack, they have to tap or with a non-unison card specifically this turn, they have to choose one of their cards in active mode and tap it or switch it to rest mode. So this is really great because on that turn 2, like I mentioned, you could have Mecha Frieza set up with 1 energy up, and then you can slam this down to prevent your opponent from it killing you. Most of the time when people are on a 2 energy, they don't have enough things to tap to kill you out. Especially King Vegeta, they can't play enough free battle cards to tap down to tap you. And plus, then you have an actual extra card to back it up like a giant ball to tap something further that they try to play like an Overrealm or something. So it's really great. Afterwards, it becomes a 15k beater, which is excellent because it swings directly into Awakened leaders. It has an activate main. I don't even know what it does, but we don't use it in this deck. And then rounding out our yellow battle card pressure threats, we play 1 copy of Son Goku Absolute Annihilation. This is really a tech versus blue decks, specifically versus Blue Baby and King Cold. You can Planet Vegeta this because it is a Saiyan, and you can slam it down. It increases the cost of all extra cards your opponent attempts to activate by 1. That means if they have the Unison in King Cold and attempt to activate a field card with it, they have to pay 1 for that field card. A lot of times King Cold likes to tap out on their turn so that they can use their free defenses like Royal Supremacy or Homicidal Clone. So if they tap out ever and you're going to your turn 3 or 4 and you haven't awakened yet, or just turn 3 and haven't awakened, or turn 4 and you have awakened, you can slam down Absolute Annihilation and just know that you're going to be able to kill them throughout their turn. Or you can tap out your opponent through Final Spirit Cannon, Bergamo combo, and then slam out Absolute Annihilation later with Beans. There's a lot of different cool plays you can use with this. And of course, versus Baby, this makes all of their Big Bang attacks and Dimension Magics way harder to play. They can no longer tap out for a Gohan and hope to D-Magic out of the attack without paying an extra energy. Great card to play. At worst, it's a 0-5k combo, and it is a yellow charge versus the deck it's not that great against. And then another tool versus Baby we play is 1 copy of Son Gohan Changing History. We choose to play the black one over the Chi-Chi in yellow color because this one is a Saiyan and can be tutored out by Planet Vegeta. Most of the times, if it's not versus a blue deck, you can just play it as a cantrip when this card is played, draw a card. But versus those blue decks, it's one of the silver bullets. And then our last simple pressure threat that we can search out by Planet Vegeta is Bardock Awakened Instincts. This is one of our 2 Overrealms. We chose to play this card because obviously it can be tutored out by Planet Vegeta. It's an Overrealm 4, draw 2 cards, discard 1. This lets us draw 2 cards and discard one of our dead extra cards in our hand, whether it be extra Planet Vegetas or extra giant balls that just no longer are effective at this stage of the game. Really cool card. Then afterwards, of course, it's just a 20k swing. And drawing 2 cards in this deck is really important because you have to dig for the answers to your opponent's turn a lot of time. Because we are a mid-range deck, we do have to control the game for at least 2 to 3 turns before we finish our opponent. Going to the super combos of the deck, we play 3 copies of Krillin at Moments Before Comeback. It's simply just the yellow bottom deck, 1 card in your hand, draw 2 super combo. This deck does suffer on draw power and combo power. When we kill our opponent, when we're going for the kill threat, we do want to have as many possible cards in our hand. So we did need to play a set of draw combos. I know a lot of blue-yellow decks are playing Zamasus, but to counteract this and in order to still rival our Bojack, we do play 1 Zamasu, our 4 super combo, and 2 hit rapid movements. Hit rapid movement functions as a Zamasu in terms of comboing. It's a 0 for 5 blue-yellow combo as long as you have a blue-yellow multicolor energy in your energy area. It has an on-play auto. It doesn't really matter. You're never going to tap 4 for this card. But more importantly, it gives us 3 targets to rival the Bojack with and 3 actual super combos to play with. Speaking of Bojack, because we are a yellow deck in this format, every yellow deck, in my opinion, probably has to be built with this blue-yellow rival Aegis Bojack package. For those who don't know yet, Violent Rush Bojack can be arrived for 1 yellow energy as long as you have a blue and a yellow card in your combo area. And then it's got Barrier, Unique. It's got this auto. When you activate this card's Aegis ability, you can draw one card. Aegis, for those who don't know yet, you can discard a blue and a yellow card or a blue-yellow multicolor card to untap 2 blue or yellow energy. So it's really cool. Allows you to tap on your turn, provide extra defense. Allows you to exchange, cycle one of these blue-yellow cards, whether it be extra Bojacks, extra hits, or even your Zamasu in tight spots, and then combo out an Ape to develop pressure on your opponent's turn so that when it swings back to your turn, you can beat them down. And then I forgot, I do have one more target for Planet Vegeta. I play this Kefla, the Peak of Perfection. It's got some arrival blue-yellow, mono-yellow ability, some auto that you can play on your turn when it arrives to like blank one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. But that doesn't matter. We're really just playing it as a target to search for Planet Vegeta. You can use it. You can use Planet Vegeta to search on an Aegis target, so a discard target for Bojack. You can use Planet Vegeta on T1 if you're versus a decently mid-range to slow matchup to tutor this card out as your turn 2 energy charge. So ideally, in a way, you could charge like mono yellow turn 1. You can Planet Vegeta, spark and take a life for Planet Vegeta to grab this, right? Turn 2, you can charge this in rest mode. Then when your opponent attacks, you can rapid hit movement now that you have a multicolored card, a rival Bojack, and discard a blue-yellow card to untap both energy. Now you have access to both energy and your rival online, and your blue-yellow charge already set up. So it's really cool, just another way to add consistency to the deck and make sure that we always had a way to set up our blue-yellow package. Um, this card never really felt dead all game, mainly because it's just a blue-yellow card that you can discard for Aegis. Although, if there are better targets, I can't wait for Bandai to print one. There is a different Kefla that's blue-yellow, but it doesn't do anything at all. At least this one you have the opportunity to rival it on your turn as an extra like 1 mana 20k beater that can push for an extra damage. And to round out our blue-yellow package, we have 4 copies of Zamasu the Eliminator. It's another reason why we play blue-yellow. Mid to late game, this can be a blue-yellow charge, but early game, it's just a blue-yellow card that has this counterplay for 2 mana counterplay. Play this card, and then if the card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, return it to its owner's hand instead. That's amazing because it counters any kind of early game 4-drop or less pressure, and additionally, it also counters unisons that are 4-drop or less. So versus King Cold, if you're on the play, you can make them just skip their turn 2. And if you know that you're going to plan to do that, you have to charge blue-yellow turn 1, then charge yellow turn 2 to set this card up. Same thing versus Baby. If they plan to play their Boo on turn 4, you can just leave blue-yellow up. Versus Soul Striker, they plan to play the Unison on 3, you can leave blue, yellow, and yellow up. So there's a lot of things that this can just buy you an entire turn versus those decks. And especially because you're a mid-range deck and you can kill on turn 3 and 4, just buying that one turn gives you enough time to finish out the game. In addition to that counterplay effect, it's got some ridiculous abilities tacked onto it. It's got this permanent: if you have another blue-yellow multicolor card in your energy, negate this card's energy exhaust in all areas. Meaning if you already have a blue-yellow charge and you're like flooded with Zamasu in your hand mid to late game, you can just charge it and it'll be an extra blue-yellow energy that you can use for like Sensu Bean or Aegis or whatever. And then finally, for no reason at all, it also has this auto. When this card is played, draw a card, and then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. This is really cool because it gives us an answer to Android 17 Turning the Tide. When they slam Android 17 Turning the Tide, you respond with Zamasu the Eliminator. Obviously, the counterplay doesn't affect the Android, but you'll play this card, you'll still tap down the Android and your draw card, so the Android can't crit you next turn. And since it's your opponent's turn, their Android will resolve first, then your Zamasu will tap their Android and draw card. So you at least have one card in your hand to defend your life with. It also has Indestructible, which is relevant sometimes because it could become an additional attacker for 5k if you're just running low on attackers. And then, of course, later down the line, it can be a 1 for 10k combo. Since we are playing a blue-yellow package, we are abusing Sensu Bean. Sensu Bean just lets us, as creative as you can be is how good Sensu Bean will be. It lets us extend our offensive plays. It lets us protect ourselves from aggro decks with an early Bean. But most importantly, just being able to extend your aggro plays, attaching Sensu Beans to Apes, to Basils, to fighting against Fate, means you can just pressure your opponent that much harder. And then going into our secret rares of the deck, we have one copy of Swift Retaliation Cooler, just the yellow counter classic to make sure you ensure your final push in a game versus either. It's a great way to snipe out Baby Hatchiyak, of course, but it's also a great way to take out cards like Dormant Potential, Unleash, Violent Rays, etc. Especially if your opponent is depending on those cards to prevent themselves from losing. So great card just to play it as one of in those matches where you just absolutely think you won't use it. Of course, it is just a yellow charge 0 for 5k combo. Otherwise, it is a counter. If your leader card is yellow, you can pay three yellow pips to play this card, negate the counter card and play this card. When it's played, you draw a card, and then if you have 6 or more cards tapped, including your leader, your field, any kind of energy or battle cards, you would draw an additional card. The card's actually really busted. Um, there's not much more that can be said about it. Of course, we play our second Overrealm, our finisher Overrealm, SS4 Bardock fighting against Fate. It's just a dual attack Overrealm 6 25k. So early game, turn 2 or 3, when you're just pressuring and you're mid gaming, you're going to want to pressure with your Bardock Awakened Instincts, and then once you get to the late game turn, the following turn, you can fill up your graveyard easily in this game, in this deck. And once you get to your kill turn, you can hold on to Fighting Against Fate and slam it down as an extra attacker. Or you can use it a little bit earlier in the turn to attach a bean to it to make it even harder for your opponent to avoid taking the life, and bring up your energy to combo extra apes and spit out further attackers. And then finally, our SCR is Supreme Kai of Time, Space Time, and Reveler, simply because there isn't a good yellow SCR in this game yet. That new Super 17 came out. It doesn't really do much. This Kai of Time allows you to at least clear Unisons, clear Boo, which is a huge issue for the deck. It's also your only 8-drop attacker versus Hatchiyak, so that sometimes matters. But yeah, Supreme Kind of Time, if you don't have your hand, don't have one yet, it's a great generic SCR to throw in the deck. If you don't own one and you still want to play the deck, good back Heroine's Lineage is still a solid backup. Or ironically, if you want to go for a cheap choice, Cell Xeno does work in the deck, although you're not going to go to turn 5 very often. But if you do happen to go to turn 5 and you want to rely on Cell Xeno and Cooler, that's still an option for the deck. Um, yeah, but that's the entire Mecha Frieza deck profile. If I were to change this to be able to have a line to beat Hatchiyak, I would probably add 2 copies of that 3-drop Trunks Unison, the dual attack 20k, and probably 1 copy of that new Goku. That new Goku from set 14. It's like an 8-drop 25k dual attack if you have a Unison and they can't activate battle card negates, which is really cool because Hatchiyak uses that Goku negate. So I'd probably just throw those 3 cards into the deck to give an answer to Hatchiyak. I don't know what I would cut yet to make space for them, but if you are interested in working on the deck, this is a really fun deck to play, especially now that United Assemble's gone. You get to be a lot more creative with the deck because you don't have like an automatic 10-card package that has to go in the deck. But yeah, other than that, same shoutouts as always. Shoutouts to you guys, the community that lets me continue coming up with these great decks and really fun decks to play, really. And I love hearing from all of you guys all the time. Shout out to my team for creating this awesome opportunity for me to play this game with them at such like an affordable price. And I'll catch you guys next time.